For the fourth time in the space of 3 years, members of Returning Nationals SVG handed over their contributions to Governor General His Excellency Sir Frederick Ballantyne. And on this occasion, it was their largest contribution to date, a sum of $150,000. Monies raised from the raffle of a Kia Sportage donated by Mustique Airways, among other prizes. Speaking at the handing over ceremony at the Governor General's house, Chairperson of Returning Nationals SVG Nayoka Clouden had much to give thanks for.
We, the Returning Nationals SVG, are here once more to carry out a very agreeable task, which is to present the effects of our fourth fundraising event in support of the Argyle International Airport. As a group, we thank the donors for the confidence they placed in us when they donated such magnificent prizes. Their confidence have not been misplaced. We thank most sincerely Mustique Airways for the first prize of a brand new Kia Sportage. We were surprised but very pleased for the donation, so thank you Mustique Airways. We also thank YD Lima for the second prize, the stove, which we know is much appreciated by the winner. To Mr. and Mrs. Stevens, we say thank you for the third prize of a stay at your Hotel Alexandrina. There are many other organizations and persons we wish to thank for their support, including NBC Radio, WFM, Garifuna Radio, Star Garage, Richardson Motors for allowing us to display the car on the green for several months. We also thank SVG Brewery, the Friends of Argyle Airport based in New York, the SVG Consulate in New York, also with special thanks to Deputy Augustus. Mustique Airways didn't just donate the car. Their operations manager, Marcus Dabrell, has been most helpful throughout. We also say thanks to Kelly from Star Garage. To continue, we would also like to thank Sion Marshall and Tony Kwame for organizing our trips to the windward and leeward sides of the island. To all friends and relatives who sold tickets, helped on the day of the raffle, including the DJs who had to battle the weather to keep their sound system dry. To Jean and Daphne, who spent some of their precious holiday time stamping and sorting tickets, we say thank you.
Beaming with gratitude and pride, CEO of the International Airport Development Company, Dr. Rudy Matthias, thanked the Nationals for their hard work and continuous contributions and informed them that their efforts are not in vain.
I want to tell you that we are making very good strides at Argyle, and the funds that you have been giving us over the years from your hard work is helping us to accomplish the dream that we set out to accomplish when we started this project in 2005. First and most importantly, I want to tell you that our terminal building is now complete. The Taiwanese company that is building the terminal building is preparing to hand over that building to us on the 30th of this month. So on the 30th of December, the IADC will take ownership of a spanking new terminal building at the Argyle International Airport. We must put this in context. It is important to put things in context. When we started out on this journey in 2005, most people thought that it was mission impossible. So we can't forget that. And sometimes when we achieve things, we need to look back to see the road that we've traveled and the successes that we've had. And that sometimes gives us the confidence to move on to greater things that we can accomplish. And we are doing so with the help and support of you who are gathered here, as well as many, many Vincentians abroad. Our government has always stood behind us because, after all, it is the government that launched the project. But sometimes, governments might start something, and along the way they might flinch here and there, or they might waver here and there. But we've had in our Prime Minister and his government a government that is steadfast and that is prepared to deliver on its promise. And that is really why we are able today to say that we are making strides in building this airport at Argyle. I want to tell you too that if you visit the site at Argyle, you would see that we have bought and installed 3 plants. We've bought a crushing plant, and that has been working since February to crush the stones, the aggregate that we need for the pavement works. Recently we bought 2 other plants, the concrete batching plant and the asphalt plant. And those 2 plants will be assembled by the end of this week. We would have completed the assembling of those 2 plants. So we are preparing ourselves to start the final pavement works on the runway and the apron in January 2014. And we expect that perhaps by July 2014, at least that is what we are programming to complete the final pavement works on the runway and on the apron. So in a sense, by July next year, God's willing, we are going to have a completed terminal building and the runway and apron having been paved. Essentially, that is our airport. But of course, there are a few other things that we have to do. We have just sent out for requests for proposals from private contractors in St. Vincent to build the control tower base and the firefighting station. And this month we are going to award tenders to contracts to these firms to construct these 2 buildings. And we expect that by June or July next year, these 2 small buildings will have been completed. What we intend to do, of course, in the first 6 months of 2014 is to retrofit the terminal building. That is to put in the conveyor belts, the scanners, and those of you who live in advanced countries and are accustomed to air bridges, we are going to attach 2 air bridges to our terminal building to allow for the enplaning and deplaning of people, so that when rain comes, we don't have to worry about people coming on the big jets, how they're going to get into our terminal building. We are taking it a bit above what we are accustomed to, and we are taking it a bit above our neighbor to the east of us. So I am delighted about the progress that we have made, and I am delighted too about the support that you have given us. There are several aspects to the work that we are doing at Argyle. And I remember the last time I was here, I challenged you to assist us in helping to fund one aspect of our work. We are a responsible company, and we believe that in building for the future, we have to preserve as much of our past. And over the years, we have been working and funding the National Trust to help us to preserve our history and our culture at Argyle. And as you know, we have done many archaeological excavations, and we have found a lot of important relics, some of which are at Carnegie Hall in Kingstown, and we have some at Argyle. And we are, at this point, having information now that help us to understand better our prehistory. And one of the things that we want to do with the National Trust is to build 2 gardens, or 2 villages, if you like. One of them is going to be located near to the new bridge at Argyle. We have bought 3 acres of land there, and we are right now in the process of relocating parts of an old sugar mill that was in the airport site to that new site. And I can tell you that we have been over the years also trying to get support and help from experts overseas to help us cut the petroglyphs. The petroglyphs are incised on rocks within the airport zone, and we have to cut these rocks on which the petroglyphs are incised and move them. And the idea is to cut them and relocate them to that 3-acre parcel of land that we've bought near to the new bridge. And this month, perhaps just before Christmas, we are hoping that the Egyptians that have agreed to help us with this work will return here to do the actual cutting and relocation of these petroglyphs. I can tell you that that is costing us nearly $200,000. So our efforts and the amount that we are spending in preserving our history and conserving our culture is significant. But I also encourage you to help us to fund a village that we want to create or recreate, a village overlooking the Yambu River. And that we understand from the Leiden University archaeologists that did the excavations there, used to be a Carib village because of the artifacts that they found in that location. And so what we want to try to do is to recreate a Carib village build the huts and then have volunteers, walk in the village as though they are Caribs, or perhaps maybe some might be dressed up as French soldiers, because there is an understanding from the archaeologists that the French and the Caribs intermingled at that time. So we want to recreate that village because it is just outside the airport zone. And we are doing that not only to preserve our history and our culture, but we want to have a rich cultural package to show off to the tourist when they come to St. Vincent. We are building the airport to encourage tourism and also for our people to be able to come home to and fro. But we need to do things in St. Vincent to attract people.
The symbolic handing over of the check signaled the handing over of the single largest donation to date to any project in this country, and saw Marlene Young and Felix Caesar, members of Returning Nationals SVG, joining their chairperson Nayoka Clouden to hand over the check. The check was received by the Governor General and Dr. Matthias.
This is by far the largest single cash gift I've seen given to any organization in my time, as Dr. Matthias has said. I'd like, though, especially to thank you, the Returning Nationals, because without you, none of this could have happened. You've all been overseas and have returned to St. Vincent with great talents, and it's very often many people who come back, stay home and do nothing. I think that the fact that you have seen the need to continue to contribute to the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is really, it warms my heart, let me put it that way. And I don't know how we can thank you enough, except to say how very much we appreciate it. And, this project belongs to all of us, and it cannot succeed without the contribution of all of us.
This brings to $225,000 the total so far donated by Returning Nationals SVG. You too can make your contribution to the construction of the Argyle International Airport. You can bring contributions to the IADC, or you can deposit them at the Bank of SVG, account number 200884.